Let's go. It's been a while, but we're back, baby. Finally, I want to listen to Paul, see what he has to say, 95,000 Bitcoin today. I'll take it. It's not bad. That is not bad. My cheaper in the house. So, primo. No, you're a custodian. Key considerations for crypto custody. It's going to be 4 hours. So, I won't be here 4 hours, but let's see how long we last. Just let's have fun, relax, enjoy. Let's say you're working right now. Let's say you are chilling. You're just looking at the markets. You're bullish. We're so happy to have you. So happy to have you. How we feeling, everybody? Guys, guess what? I got the Raptor. Woo! I'll post an image on X later, but I gotta live life, man. I gotta live life, bro. I gotta live life sometimes, so I did. I'm happy. Tesla ripping. That's nice. What's going on, everybody? Happy to see you and welcome back. Today we're gonna be watching while hot. We're gonna be watching for a while this beauty. This is gonna be the SEC speaking, right? Our third roundtable crypto regulation begins at 1 p.m. So Eastern time. That's gonna be 12 for me. And there it is. You got it. Perfect. This is a test of closed captioning system. Yes, guys. I'm here. I'm watching. Now, FY, sometimes the volume is not the best, not the greatest. I will do the best I can, of course, but just FY, right? I'm not the sound engineer, they have over there, but still, you're gonna be able to listen, right? But I'll do the best here on my end. Sweet truck, yeah, man. While we wait, right? It's about 15 minutes to go. So I'll tell you a little story, right? Here, look. Let me see. Let me take this out. Boom. That looks. It's a Ranger Raptor. It's not a Raptor, right? So, because I don't really need a big, huge truck. I like them. They look really nice, but I'm not a truck guy as far as like the full size truck, But this one, as I'm like thinking and going, I went through the Tacoma TRD Pro, and I did my due diligence with the Canyon from GMC, and I was like, I really want something, right? And I fell in love with the Ranger Raptor. Not Tesla, no, bro, not Tesla. Don't have anything against Elon. I love Elon, right? But it's just like I want some good old Texas American feeling, So yeah, Planets in the house. I'm at work, turning it in, but AFK. No worries, Planets. Appreciate it, buddy. Welcome. Maybe Atkins talk about XRP. That I know, Motorhead. They won't be able to say any ongoing cases. So I don't really think he's going to say anything about Ripple, but you never know. You never know, right? We'll be here watching. Buy BMW. I'm okay with a BMW, right? But no, brother. We're finally decided to pull the trigger and pause my crypto purchases and get something to, have a new toy. Very blessed, very happy. And I'll post one of those photos later. But yeah, guys, so we're happy. Things are moving up, and we do good. We do good. Cheers. Mini Coupe. This is not gonna be an interview, Evan. It's gonna be a round table, right? Round table. We watched the first one. I couldn't stream the second one because I was busy. But I'm here with you to talk about the third one, and we'll just chill and relax and see what they have to say. No promises, but hey, crypto's been doing well lately. Take a look at this. Michael Saylor says you can still buy Bitcoin for less than $0.1 million. All right. All right. Like I told you guys, there it is. I'm checking the audio, but there's no audio right now. So only thing I'm asking them is to have a good audio, honestly. I mean, because sometimes it's super quiet. Yeah, I know Toyota and Honda and Lexus are super reliable. I was looking into a GX because I really like that style, that luxury with off-roading. I went to the Lexus dealership and I went to the GX. I was driving the GX for a little bit. I liked it, but then I started to realize, then look at this. My crypto mentality came in. I cannot believe it, but where's the utility? Where's the utility? I'm like, if I get the GX, which looks really nice, sweet, the leather seats, everything, right? But I'm like, I need something. I mean, what if I need to haul something, or what if I need some space? Like, I need a box, So the point is that I think I decided into a pickup, and once that was clear for me, a pickup truck, I just needed to find the best one, and that's it. Oscar, your hair grew back like Chiap. Yeah, it's getting there, bro. It's getting there. Um, I'm heading to Dubai in a few days, guys, and I'm already mentally prepared, bro. It's like Singapore was beautiful, but I think the flight is what really gets me, man, because flying for a while it's good, but bro, sometimes it's not pretty. It's an XRP to the moon. What's up, brother? Nice to have you, brother. Welcome. Yeah, Lexus is a good one for sure. Mantra, such a good company. Yeah, Mantra, I got a little bit of OM. I decided to buy a little bit. Why not? Oscar, I thought the case was done. They rescinded the appeal, and everything is like 99, 95% completed on this side, and everything's going to be fine right now. It's practically done, but it's still, there's the final nail in the coffin, when the SEC chair and everybody make it official, when it's actually official from the SEC. That's what we're waiting for. Now, people say that it's already priced in, meaning that when that happens, the price of XRP is not going to move. Well, we'll have to see. Maybe it will, If it does, great. You good with crypto Bioraptor. Bring us back a lot of green candles. What's up, Alberto? Happy to see you, buddy. Welcome. The case isn't done. Basically, it is. Greetings from Albania. What's up, Albania? Good to see you guys. Welcome, guys. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, do all of that, turn on those notification bells if you haven't already. Very happy to have my community back. Like I've been telling you for a while in our previous live, guys, we are less than 1,000. We're 1,000 plus or so. The number is not important as long as we're here together. But remember, when the price of XRP starts doing what it's going to start doing, yesterday I made a video for you a little late, Bitwise, right? That is not me. It's not me who wrote the entire investment case for XRP. I didn't do it. It was the CEO of Bitwise and a lot of people who earn a lot of money, right? Professionals. They are giving us a bear case, a bull case, and a max case. And if you recall Patrick Bet-David's case, right? 10% replacement of Swift or 100% replacement. You go from $100, $1,000. So it's like one here cannot say, "Oh, come on, man, just let's take it seriously." Like, it's not gonna be $1,000. It's not gonna be $100. I get it, right? For a lot of people will be like, come on, Oscar, that's too good to be true. I get it. But even if we get 10% of that, even if we get 5% of that, that's still like $10, bro. I mean, and if you're accumulating and accumulating and accumulating at levels like this right now, you're gonna be pretty happy, you know, once we get there. You're gonna be pretty happy. So I don't know the future, everybody. I can tell you today and tomorrow and the next day. No promises, no promises. I'm not a politician, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh guys, I'm gonna pump XRP. No, guys, I'm just here, normal guy, really happy with life, doing my best, right? And I'm very blessed. And yeah, I mean, we just have to see and prepare, you know. I know I take a look at the comments. People are, oh, I'm tired of your it's happening soon, or get ready soon, or whatever, or listen right now. Guys, that's what I tell me, right? Get ready, Oscar. Listen carefully, Oscar. Prepare, Oscar, right? I'm just telling you what I will tell myself. That's it. And some people get it. Adults get it, right? Many adults listen and say, okay, maybe I don't have to sell my XRP yet, right? But when the day comes, which it will come, the Bitcoin will pass 100,000 once again. The Bitcoin will pass the all-time high of 109 once again. The day will come. I'm going to ask you, what do you do with your money when Bitcoin was at 74,000? Where were you when the China-U.S. trade tariff war happened and they were basically going back at each other? Where were you when the stock market lost $2 trillion in one day? Where were you? Oh, were you scared? Oh, were you selling? Oh, were you calling everybody scammer? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Then that's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know. Because if that was you, you already told me who you are. I don't need any more answers from you, right? But the people who were here with me during those tough days of March and February, we survived, fam. That's it. That is it, fam. It's not complicated. You got a Chevy Silverado, my man. We need an official announcement, indeed. Hey, Oscar from KY, Kentucky, or what is it? Where's that? I love you, man. Appreciate all the good info. Hey, thank you, Lewis. Thanks so much, bro. Romeli Wolf, hey, I appreciate that, buddy. Well, we're here. I'm going to say it like it is. That's it. I don't know everything, of course, but I'll tell you what I know. You were buying that dip, my man. I got a donation right here from Chosen. Sorry, Chosen, I missed it. I hope we get direct answers and not smoke and mirrors. Tired of all this gray area and beating around the bush. Chosen, that will be great too to know, right, from him. Now, understand, fam, just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is a round table. This is not an interview. This is not they're not gonna answer questions about XRP, right? This is a round table about crypto. What is it? Crypto custody, right? So I think there's just gonna be a lot of different angles right now that I want to listen and let's enjoy, right? It's a 4-hour event from 1 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. So I guess we'll actually go ahead and see many different people speaking. It's a lot of speakers in this one for sure. EMC Sierra lifted. Hey, what's up, life? I will laugh gratefully at those who mock the XRP army once it skyrockets. It happens, man. Hey, Giovanni, good to see you, brother. Welcome, bro. Joshua Carrillo, bro. I'm gonna get some, lands coming in. I think you're ready to. Yes, I'm ready for the 30th, the first. I got some loaded and Dark Lion, so I'll be buying. Yeah, I'll be buying. I don't really buy many NFTs, but I know those ones. If I get a rare, it's gonna be paying my investment for sure. Thank you, Alberto. Appreciate it, buddy. Tars AI. Ooh, I'm going to talk about Tars AI too. Yes. Italy in the house. What's up, Ian? Good to see you, brother. Welcome. All right, let's take a look. No sound yet, but we are ready. 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Perfect. So the audio is in. My audio, it's at 58, as you can tell, 58. So this is my audio, but sometimes I believe it increases the audio for you guys too. So we'll see. So my audio is pretty strong right now. It's gonna be on them. It's gonna be on them. Guys, we're gonna be passing Ethereum by market cap. You believe that? Let me know in the comments down below. Go crazy, man. And let's go ahead and listen up and see what they have for us. And yes. What's up, Gilbert? Good to see you, man. It's a good, what is it, Friday today? I think it's Friday, right? I don't even know what day it is. Yeah, it's Friday. Indeed. The 25th. All right. All right. First round table with the new SEC chair. Exactly. It's the first one with Paul Atkins. That's one of the reasons I'm also here, right? Because I watched the first one without him, but now we're watching the one with him. This is Bitcoin today at 95,000, guys. That looks pretty sick. Thank you, Craig. All right, there it is. 1 p.m. Eastern. The time for the roundtable is gonna start anytime. I'm so happy Jasmine is cooking over the last couple of days because I got a lot of Jasmine, right? I haven't spoken about Jasmine in a while, but I'm still holding my Jasmine. I'm still holding my Sui. Sui went under $1, man, and I bought a little bit at the time. Look. Wait, did it go under one? Oh no, my bad. It did not. Another one went under one. Well, it went under $2. Right here. 172, man. Look at this. It's already over 100% up. Kudos to those who bought the dip, man. Kudos to those who bought the dip. I'm telling you, man, when people tell you you cannot make money in crypto, just look around, bro. XRP is doing great as well. Look at this. XRP went from like 40% pump. That's not bad. Like I bought at 169, so I'm 36% up in my position. It was late, like at 1 a.m. or so when I did it. But a lot of XRP at 169. It didn't carry that I didn't buy at 160 or so, like the mega bottom, but I still got in pretty cheap, right, at the 160s. Jasmine also is doing about, wow, 131% Jasmine, man. Kudos to the Jasmine gang too, bro. Woo! Caspa, look at Caspa, brother. I'm already showing you 100%, man. Caspa, Jasmine, Sui. I own all of them, bro. Not as much as I own XRP, of course, right? But XRP is going to do it 100% soon. I mean, eventually it's going to do 100%. And I'll be ready, man. I'll be ready. Edera H-bar. Look at Edera H-bar, bro. Edera H-bar did a 62% pump so far. You know, just this month. Less than 3 weeks ago. Just less than 3 weeks ago, guys. That's pretty good. Shiba Inu also coming back strong, which is nice. The meme coins, right? Like less than XRP, but still is good. Ethereum and Bitcoin. The good Bitcoin doing at 28%. Not bad. There you have it, man.
Afternoon. My name
There
is
you go.
Richard Gabbert, and I'm Chief of Staff of the Crypto Task Force.
Let's listen
and it's
up.
my pleasure
Welcome.
to welcome you to today's roundtable, Know Your Custodian, Key Considerations for Crypto Custody. This is the third of 5 roundtables in the Commission's spring sprint toward crypto clarity. For too long, investors and the firms that serve them have been subjected to significant uncertainty with respect to how regulated entities can custody customer assets in a manner compliant with our rules. This uncertainty has not advanced investor protection. Investors wanted access to crypto assets, whether through a commission-regulated entity or otherwise, but the Commission effectively deprived them of the choice to have their assets held by a registered entity or a qualified custodian. Today, we're fortunate to have 2 separate panels, one dealing with broker-dealer custody and the other with custody under the 40 Acts. Both panels feature experts with years of experience studying these issues, and they'll help us think through how best the Commission can provide clarity and certainty in this space. Thank you all for agreeing to participate in this discussion. We're also fortunate to have our new chairman join us for what I believe is his first appearance as chairman at a public event of the Commission. At his swearing in this week, Chairman Atkins made clear to the President his intention to bring a rational, coherent, and principled approach to digital asset regulation at the SEC. The task force looks forward to helping the Commission execute Chairman Atkins and Commissioner Peirce's vision for a rational and right-sized regulatory framework for crypto assets. The task force would also like to express its appreciation to Commissioner Ueda for creating the task force as one of his first official acts as acting chairman, and for his support during his acting chairmanship. I've worked for Commissioner Peirce for over 7 years, and for many of them, she was alone in calling for the Commission to take a sensible approach to these issues. It's been refreshing to have Commissioner Ueda so aligned on the subject. Before I turn the podium over to Chairman Atkins and our commissioners, I would like to remind everyone that this event is being streamed live and is being covered by multiple media outlets. Accordingly, please be aware that all remarks by Commission officials, participants, and members of our audience will be on the record. In addition, please remember that the participants in today's roundtable speak on their own behalf and that their views do not necessarily reflect the views of the Commission, the Commissioners, or members of the Commission staff. We're now ready to begin with remarks from Chairman Atkins, followed by Commissioner Crenshaw, Commissioner Ueda, and Commissioner Peirce. Mr. Chairman.
Let's go. First time, Paul Atkins as the SEC chairman.
So thank you all very much for coming today and listening online out in the internet land. And so welcome to the third roundtable of the SEC's Crypto Task Force. And as Richard was saying, I really do salute the Commission in taking this initiative on, and Commissioner Ueda for acting on it, and obviously for Commissioner Peirce and all the staff's work. But so this is now my 4th day back at the Commission after 2 prior stints here, and I really am looking forward to working here and eager to tackle long festering issues such as the regulatory treatment of digital assets and distributed ledger technologies, and working with my fellow commissioners and the staff in doing it, and soliciting outside input as well, obviously. So in addition, my warmest personal thanks go to Commissioner Peirce for her principled and tireless advocacy for common sense crypto policy within the United States. It's no wonder that she justly has earned the title of Crypto Mom, and Commissioner Peirce is certainly the right person to lead the effort to come up with a rational regulatory framework for crypto assets in their markets. And thanks also to the panelists, both in this panel and the one to come, for volunteering their time and expertise on a Friday afternoon to come here and join us in Washington. So this is important work as entrepreneurs across the United States are harnessing blockchain technology to modernize aspects of the financial system. I expect huge benefits from this market innovation in terms of efficiency, cost reduction, transparency, and risk mitigation. Market participants engaging with this technology deserve clear regulatory rules of the road. Innovation, unfortunately, has been stifled for the last several years due to market and regulatory uncertainty that, unfortunately, the SEC has fostered. So I look forward to engaging with market participants and working with colleagues in President Trump's administration and Congress to establish a rational, fit-for-purpose framework for crypto assets. So today's roundtable is focused on the challenges that SEC registrants face when attempting to safely custody crypto assets for their customers in compliance with the federal securities laws. For example, are changes needed to the custody rules under the Exchange Act, the Advisors Act, or the Investment Company Act to accommodate crypto assets and blockchain technology? Is the special purpose broker-dealer, so-called, regime workable for market participants, or is a new crypto asset broker-dealer framework needed? The market itself seems to indicate that the current framework badly needs attention, so you all, especially on the panels, can help give us direction in that regard. So thank you all for dedicating your Friday afternoon to helping us address these very important issues. So I look forward to a productive discussion and so you all can get to it. So thank you very much.
That was the chair. No longer Gary Gensler, fam, which is a relief.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our new chairman, Paul Atkins, to the commission. I'm looking forward to working with him and my fellow commissioners in furtherance of the agency's important mission. So custody. The concept of custody in the federal securities laws is based on the idea of trust. In our everyday lives, relationships involving trust are everywhere. For example, when we fly, we generally trust that we can give an airline our luggage and they won't steal it. And generally, it will be delivered to its destination safely. Of course, luggage gets lost sometimes, and that's inconvenient and frustrating. Maybe you lose some clothes or your vacation gets off to a slightly more stressful start. But just for a moment, imagine that a significant portion of your life savings is actually in that luggage. Would you ask the airline a few more questions before checking your bag into their care? Would you want assurances that they are required to take certain protective measures to safeguard your luggage? That they have robust policies and procedures designed to prevent loss and damage? And that they bear accountability in the event that they do not follow through on those policies and procedures and your savings are lost. Trust is particularly important in our relationships with financial institutions. That's why our custody regulations are so important. We have seen that harm befalls investors when their money is in the hands of untrustworthy actors. The worst of those cases are infamous. But beyond trust, history has taught us that even the most responsible actors need regulatory standards to effectively safeguard customer assets. So the questions that bring us here today are, whom can we trust to safeguard client assets? What basic standards should we apply to ensure that we can trust our custodians? Should the rules be any different for crypto assets? Are there features of crypto assets distinct from more traditional assets that warrant distinct rules? Some believe that differences between traditional assets justify exemptions or disparate treatment for custody of crypto assets under our rules. If we are to consider implementing an alternative custody regime for crypto assets, something the SEC has not done wholesale for another asset class without very good reason, we must keep in mind some guiding principles. Existing SEC custody rules are a gold standard of investor protection. Our registrants attract customers. Our markets draw stability from the strength of this regulatory framework. If the SEC were to create a dual regime, how do we ensure that the crypto regime is as robust as the current regime? Additionally, how could the Commission address increased risks to investors and the broader financial system that may stem from the different crypto custody rules? For example, how would the rules address risks associated with holding assets on a blockchain, such as those stemming from protocol or smart contract operations or failures? And what about hacking? Also, the nature of the blockchain means that custodians cannot establish exclusive control over digital assets with the same mechanisms used in connection with traditional securities. Can we effectively hold custodians accountable for mitigating such risks? If so, how? How would we ensure that investors have clarity regarding the differences between the risks associated with traditional custodians and the risks associated with crypto asset custodians? What steps would we need to take to help investors understand that these entities do not offer the same protections? What investor disclosures would be required under the applicable fiduciary obligations? What protections would exist for investors if their custodian becomes insolvent or declares bankruptcy? Existing securities law provides protections against this risk. For example, by providing for SIPC to step in when a brokerage firm fails and customer assets are missing, so that SIPC may work to return customer assets. Will such protections be available for crypto assets if there are different standards for custody? I understand today's roundtable will be separated into two segments, one focused on investment advisor and investment company custody issues, and the other on custody in a broker-dealer context. There are important distinctions between these two frameworks that should be considered today. For the asset management industry, the custody rule gives us a clear answer on who advisors must trust with custody of advisory client assets: a qualified custodian. The rule does not intend for just anyone to meet this standard or this definition. It is meant to be a high bar accompanied by robust protections. In its recent safeguarding proposal, the SEC acknowledged the ways in which custody of crypto assets and the use of blockchain technology present unique risks and unique considerations. I expect today's discussion will raise ideas like advisor self-custody for crypto assets and potential expansions to the type of entities that could meet the definition of a qualified custodian. I hope you will think through the ramifications for those possibilities. For example, what are the risks of self-custody generally? Would these risks be heightened with self-custody of crypto assets? Would a hypothetical exemption from the custody rule for crypto assets invite easier opportunities for fraud, theft, or misappropriation, even with additional protections? Are most investment advisors operationally capable of safely engaging in self-custody of crypto assets? What are the barriers to crypto asset custodians seeking the licenses or registrations that would allow them to be considered qualified custodians under the custody rule? How should we think about state-chartered trust companies? How do those entities vary across states? Do they all offer comparable protections? In what ways must we engage with our fellow financial regulators on these and related questions? Should we require different or additional policies and procedures of advisors who custody crypto assets at crypto asset custodians? What should these important requirements, such as independent verification of assets, look like in the context of crypto assets? Does an advisor's fiduciary duty require additional due diligence for these assets? While registered broker-dealers operate under a different set of custody rules, some of the most prominent crypto market players are large platforms not registered with the SEC, which function as integrated brokerages and exchanges. They require customers to transfer their crypto assets into a wallet held by the exchange in order to trade on the platform or utilize other platform services such as lending or staking. One pressing custody question is this: if the platforms will be transacting in securities and be regulated by the SEC in some way, how should the SEC address the predominant practice of holding customers' crypto assets in omnibus wallets? This question has been considered by several thought leaders in the space, some of whom we're lucky enough to have on the panels with us today. They have pointed out that with omnibus wallets, customer transactions are largely tracked using books and records rather than through on-chain transactions. In that context, where a majority of customer transactions are happening off-chain, What, if any, jurisdiction is there for different custody rules? Omnibus wallets also pose increased risks as compared to segregated wallets, such as exposing the assets to greater operational and external risks like hacking or theft. Given that, should exchanges or broker-dealers be allowed to custody crypto asset securities in omnibus wallets at all? What are the other risks and benefits of custodying customer crypto assets in omnibus versus segregated wallets? As you can tell, I am concerned about the potential for eroding the high standard required under our existing custody rules. While we have been and should continue to be open to innovative and new products and technologies, such advancements do not require us to forsake fundamental statutorily mandated principles, like safeguarding client assets. How can we bridge that gap so that investors are afforded consistent protections regardless of asset class? As with all the roundtables today, these are hard questions, and I had a lot today, so I appreciate your patience. I hope you will help us grapple with these issues so that we can preserve the trust that investors have in our markets. There is a lot more than lost luggage at stake. Thank you all for your participation in today's roundtable, and I look forward to hearing the outcome. Thanks very much.
So that was Caroline Crenshaw. I think next is going to be Mark Ueda. They're following this. Yeah, that's him, Mark Ueda. Commission.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to the Crypto Task Force's third roundtable, which is focused on custody. Proper custody of client and customer assets have been a key protection under the federal securities laws. Crypto is not any different in principle. As commission registrants increasingly engage with crypto assets, it's important that they have access to a number of custodial solutions that comply with applicable laws and regulations. While the Office of the Chief Accountant recently removed a significant barrier for companies seeking to offer crypto asset custodial services by withdrawing Staff Accounting Bulletin number 121 earlier this year, there is still work to do to ensure that there is appropriate choice among custodial solutions. For example, the Commission should consider whether it is clear enough that registered investment advisors can use state-chartered limited-purpose trust companies to custody crypto assets as fiduciaries, as qualified custodians in compliance with our rules under the Advisors Act. Limited-purpose trust companies, with the authorization and oversight of a state banking regulator, such as the New York State Department of Financial Services, or the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, which I had the privilege of, at one point, being part of many years ago, might be able to custody crypto assets as fiduciaries, arguably exercising fiduciary powers similar to those permitted to national banks under the authority of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. With respect to federally chartered banks, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency issued interpretive letters recognizing that national banks may custody crypto assets as a fiduciary under the National Bank Act and authorized multiple national banks to do so. Given the historical approach of permitting state-chartered banks to compete with federally chartered banks, the Commission should consider allowing advisors to use state-chartered limited-purpose trust companies with the fiduciary power to custody crypto assets as qualified custodians. The Commission should also consider further steps to enhance competition by modifying or sunsetting the Commission's special purpose broker regime, providing interim guidance that explains how firms can custody non-security crypto asset securities, and traditional securities in compliance with the capital and customer protection rules, and ultimately perhaps even codifying this guidance in amendments to these rules. Separately, the position of the prior administration that most crypto assets are likely to be funds or securities has led many advisors to shoehorn all client crypto assets into qualified custody and thereby forego certain investment opportunities that are incompatible with these custodial arrangements. I agree with Commissioner Peirce that a large number of crypto assets are not likely to be securities, but the term funds is not defined in the custody rule, and the Commission may need to clarify whether any crypto assets constitute funds for purposes of the rule. Well, these are also a lot of issues to raise, and that is why I am so pleased that we have these two very, very well put together panels for this afternoon. There are a lot of questions and issues and thoughts for us to resolve. And one of the most important things that we do as a commission is to engage and listen to the public and obtain this feedback. So before we move on to doing what we need to do, I look forward to hearing all of the comments today, as well as the comments that the public is submitting through our written feedback file. So thank you to the Crypto Task Force and panelists for your time in preparing this roundtable, and I look forward to the discussions that will follow.
That was Mark Guetta. Esther Pierce is a beast, so here she comes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to our panelists on this panel and the later panel. Grateful for the time that you're spending today and the time that you put into preparing for the panels. I also want to thank the task force and all the other folks at the SEC who made this roundtable possible. I too want to thank Commissioner Ueda for your work as acting chairman, and welcome Chairman Atkins. And also want to thank Commissioner Crenshaw, who's been helpful, among other things, in helping us put together the panels, finding panelists who can help answer some of these difficult questions. It is going to be, I think, a very interesting discussion. But let me add my own thoughts just quickly before I turn it over to Zach. Thank you for moderating today's discussions. So children often play a game called The Floor is Lava. The game requires you to leap from one piece of furniture to the next without falling or touching the ground, because if you do, you perish in the burning lava below. So, of course, we have our own version of that game in DC, and that is has been really evident. It's been played a lot in the crypto asset world, and crypto custody, I think, is one area where it's really been played. We have a little twist on it. The burning lava is, of course, legal treachery, but our twist on it is that we don't turn the lights on. So to engage in crypto-related activities, SEC registrants have had to hop from one poorly illuminated regulatory space to the next, all while ensuring that they never touch any crypto asset. A broker or ATS that cannot custody or otherwise handle an asset will find it difficult to facilitate trading in the asset, and a robust market is therefore unlikely to develop. If investment advisors don't know which crypto assets are securities, what type of entities are qualified custodians, and whether exercising staking or voting rights will result in custody violations, advisors may not be able to serve their clients' best interests. Similar confusion may prevent investment companies from investing in crypto assets and investing in a way that would be most efficient or beneficial to the fund. It's time that we find a way to end this game. We need to turn on the lights and build some walkways over the lava pit. We, of course, should not take custodial obligations lightly. When an intermediary holds a crypto asset, or any asset for that matter, investors and the intermediary itself can face serious risks. The Commission must grapple with these issues. If we fail to do so, we prevent regulated entities from serving their customers and elevate, to the detriment of the American public, markets and intermediaries that may be less safe than our regulated entities. We must ensure that the custody requirements applicable to regulated entities further rather than impair investor protection and choice. And these requirements must not interfere with an advisor's discretion about how to fulfill its fiduciary obligations. Our regulatory approach should recognize the differences across crypto assets. Qualified custodians exist for some crypto assets, but for others, self-custody might be the safer option. Many tokenized securities involve the use of smart contracts or other blockchain-related protocols that allow the issuer or its agent to take corrective measures in the event of an error or lost or stolen private keys, just as it could resolve issues when using a traditional database. Indeed, distributed ledgers could mitigate some risks associated with traditional databases. For example, a broker-dealer's ability to control an uncertificate security on-chain arguably makes it easier for the broker-dealer to demonstrate that it's the legal owner of a security if the issuer or its agent were to mismanage any off-chain ownership records. Finally, we should acknowledge and welcome the fact that blockchain technology empowers investors by allowing them to self-custody, trade, and otherwise engage with their assets without the use of any intermediary. Our regulatory framework should not stand in the way of these innovations by forcing intermediation. I look forward to hearing the panelists' thoughts on these and other issues. While this roundtable is focused on custody, and I think there are some tangential issues that I would also appreciate hearing views on if there's time. Should the SEC amend or clarify other rules that may be just as important in protecting customer assets, such as capital, record keeping, and financial reporting rules? Before turning it over to Zach, let me add to Commissioner Crenshaw's already long list of questions another set of questions. So if you run out of things to talk about, you can answer some of these questions. Should Congress amend SIPA to address the treatment of crypto assets that are not securities as defined in SIPA? In the absence of any such amendments, how can we help ensure that customers receive their crypto assets and any cash deposited to purchase those assets in the event of a broker-dealer liquidation? Does Article 8 of the UCC present a potential solution to this issue? Should we retain the special purpose broker-dealer framework, or should we clarify how any broker-dealer may custody or crypto assets that are securities? What requirements should apply to broker-dealers when custodying tokenized securities that are not bearer instruments? Should SEC staff modify or replace the so-called ATS three-step letter? If so, how? Should we provide any guidance or propose amendments to address how our rules apply to broker-dealers that use smart contracts to facilitate settlement? Given that Rule 15c3.3 does not apply to crypto assets that are not securities, what can we do to ensure that broker-dealers appropriately safeguard any such assets held for customers? Should the custody rules permit funds and advisors to place and maintain crypto assets with classes of custodians not currently contemplated by those rules? Alternatively, should the custody rules be principles-based and incorporate qualitative criteria as opposed to being focused solely on certain entities that may custody assets? And finally, should we propose changes to the advisor and investment company custody rules to facilitate self-custody of crypto assets? And if so, under what conditions? That's all I have. Thank you, and go to it, panel.
All right, fam. So we just finished listening. Chief of Staff, Paul Atkins, Carolyn Crenshaw, Mark Ueda, and Kester Pierce.
Thank you to Chairman Atkins,
Moderator.
Commissioners Ueda, Pierce, and
We
Crenshaw,
got-
and to the staff for organizing.
We got Fireblocks, Digital Bank, Fidelity, Kraken, Exodus, BitGo, and more.
I've heard suggestions from some crypto legal friends of mine that these panels would be great drinking games because there's lots of buzzwords and you can spend a lot of time listening for those buzzwords. And to them, I'd say that they should be like the custodians that we're going to talk about today and make sure to do so responsibly. Coming out of a period that many have viewed as regulation by enforcement, over the past few months, there's been a burst of energy among a lot of market participants for all things that can be done with blockchain technology, ways to harness the technology for advancement, but importantly, while ensuring that investors are protected under an appropriate regulatory regime. And lots of these discussions come back to the same question, which is, okay, those things are all great, working through the legal analysis, now what do we do about custody? If an asset is a security, likely a broker-dealer needs to be involved, and that broker-dealer can't custody the asset unless it can do so in compliance with 15c3.3. But there, in most cases, is no regulatory approved way for them to do that. When tokens are traded, whether or not they're securities, whether it's on a centralized exchange or DeFi, can broker-dealers or investment advisors actually handle the asset without there being clarity on this question? And if we tokenize securities, so there's no question that the asset is a security, then what? How do we deal with the custody rule? These are issues that have come up on a lot of the prior roundtables, but I think this one gets to this issue in particular that I think is really necessary to solve all the others. It's an incredibly thorny issue. By their nature, digital assets, blockchain tokens, are not the sort of asset that the securities laws and rules have contemplated, at least not as currently written. My impression, and others likely agree, or I imagine agree, are that for a long time, because this is a hard question, there wasn't really the regulatory appetite to tackle it, to dig in and figure out how to solve it. There have been some efforts at guidance in the past, joint staff statement, the special purpose broker dealer guidance, the three-step no action letter, and the safeguarding proposal. But in many ways, these sort of highlighted the challenges without really taking the step of solving it. So it's incredibly impressive, and not a word associated with regulators that much, I think pretty courageous, that the SEC is now undertaking to do these hard things. And also doing so in a transparent and open manner with a sort of regulatory humility that recognizes the importance of robust public input, particularly from industry members that are really in the trenches and have the experience and knowledge of how to solve these issues. It may be difficult, but the importance and centrality of custody is really important and critical to get right for innovators, investors, and regulators. So the Commission has gathered a great set of panelists today whose backgrounds fit that bill. As in past roundtables, their bios are available on the website. I think if you're watching online, it's probably linked on the screen. We're going to skip introductions. Anyone who speaks, if you could, the first time you speak, just say your name and your affiliation. And if one regulatory regime for custody wasn't enough, today we're going to talk about three. This first panel is going to focus on broker-dealers and the regulatory regime for them. And the panel this afternoon or later this afternoon is going to talk about investment advisors and investment companies. So make sure to stay tuned for that one. A lot of the issues do cross over. So beginning with our first panel, I'll take a moment to set the stage for broker-dealer regulation of custody. The Exchange Act prohibits a broker-dealer from affecting a transaction in securities unless they are in compliance with the SEC rules around custody. The SEC rules in turn require that broker-dealers maintain possession or control of customers' fully paid and excess margin securities. Possession traditionally meant a broker holds a physical piece of paper, stock certificate, in their vault, while control means they hold custody through a third party, like a bank or another broker-dealer or a clearing agency. So to start off, is physical possession or control even the right standard for broker-dealers when it comes to digital assets? And a lot of what we'll talk about today, I may not distinguish between digital assets that are securities and not, because I think often the custody issues are the same. Is that the right standard? Or is there another concept that the SEC should be considering for digital assets than possession or control? And maybe I'll start with Mark.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, everybody. My name is Mark Greenberg from Kraken. I'm not a lawyer, so I'll try to stay out of the specific legal terms and take an operator perspective at it. The first thing that's worth keeping in mind is crypto assets are best held at rest, safest, less likely to cause issues like the Bybit hack or otherwise. And what does that mean for custody, and what does that mean for this rule? It really means how the more you segregate assets into small little wallets, the more you focus on them in that respect, the more often you have to move it. And the more often you have to move it, the more it isn't at rest, the more likely it is to get stolen in some various exploit along the way. Principle-based rule is probably better than a technology-based one in this case, and so technology is changing quickly, of course. Keys should be held in systems, not by people, and that means that the old rule of not my keys, not my crypto probably doesn't apply anymore in that respect. And smart contracts mean, actually, I may hold the keys, but I may not actually have effective control over the asset at the same time. And so I would encourage, and then multi-party control is also extremely important in this case as well, and preferable in providing the right safeguards and the right trust that your baggage isn't going to get lost along the way. All that together, the more we can rely on GL-based segregation versus wallet or key-based segregation, the better. And so I think probably maybe an effective control standard might be the right one in this case versus one around physical possession. And I hope as we set the rules here, they'll be less focused on the technology and the wallets and the keys and those components, and more focused on how do you make sure we have the right policies and controls on top of them.
And I guess to get to the next step, what policies and controls do people think that should be? Rachel, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rachel Andarica. I'm from Anchorage Digital. We are a centralized custodian. So I want to just pick up on what Mark is saying. I think that for us, like the way that we've always thought about this and the reason why we got a federally chartered bank was to comply with the custody rule. So it's not only, I mean, custody within the digital asset space is inherently a security activity, right? So we think of this as the banking service that we offer, the security over those keys. And so when we talk about like what does that mean, like what does security mean, we think about the possession and exclusive control over that asset as being like part and parcel to how the security solution was built, right? And so that shouldn't be, I mean, there's lots of ways to, that has been done, lots of ways that custodial solutions have sprung up, but kind of you can meet those obligations of like proof of existence and exclusive control over the asset, right? Like, I mean, for us, we have keys generated in hardware through air gapping. So for us, the way that we think about our custodial solution, we built it around that concept of like the proof of existence and exclusive control and our ability to do that and to not really have to think about what's held in like quote cold storage and then what's transferred into like a hot wallet for movement.
Got it. So I guess you're talking about, are you talking about third-party custody where a broker holds it through a bank?
Yeah.
Or ways in which the broker can hold it itself? And do you think the broker should be able to hold it itself in accordance with those kinds of controls?
Yeah. So, I mean, we think that a bank is the best way to do this, right? That's why we did this. That's why we have subjected ourselves to these rules. That's something that we thought that was important for institutional custody and for institutional participation in this ecosystem. And so, I mean, a third party subject to a very high degree of regulatory scrutiny and standards, like not only from a physical security perspective, but also all of the controls that you have around that, right? Like your fiduciary segregation of assets, your information security, your compliance with laws, rules, and regulations, the capital that you have allocated, against the risks that you have identified. Like all of those things, together kind of make a standard that is comprehensive.
And Veronica, your firm provides self-hosted, self-custody wallets. Do you think that that's a better alternative or a solution? Should broker-dealers self-custody using their own wallets? How do you think that plays into this question about how they custody themselves through others or customers doing it on their own?
Sure, thank you. I'm Veronica McGregor. I'm the Chief Legal Officer at Exodus. We are, in fact, a self-custody or unhosted wallet retail, like for consumers. And I think it's sort of paradoxical to consider, so just backing up a little bit to like the original ethos of crypto, right, was self-sovereignty, self-custody, no banks, no intermediaries, and here we are. But when we say self-custody in regards to broker-dealers, it's not really self-custody. I mean, they're custodying someone else's assets. So it's not self-custody as it's traditionally understood. In which case, I would suggest that anyone who's going to be in charge of someone else's assets have, very strict safeguards and framework around how they can do that safely, because one of the not your keys, not your coins, that's the mantra of crypto OGs at least. One of the points of that is that you are in charge of what happens to your assets. And so at Exodus, one of the things I say is we couldn't steal your money if we wanted to, because it's all in your individual wallet, so we can't do that. But if in the case where someone is actually holding someone else's assets, that's really not self-custody. So even though what it would be instead is, are broker-dealers going to be allowed to to custody their their customers' assets, and so it's not really self-custody. But in that case, as I said, when you're holding someone else's assets, you need to be extra super secure about it.
Well, do you think that we shouldn't have custodians? Everyone should hold their own assets, and that's the safest way. You don't need to rely on somebody else and rely on their security. Just do it yourself.
I don't think that's practical or reasonable to make that assumption, despite the fact that we are a self-custody wallet and we definitely, espouse like the safety of holding your own assets. It's not practical to think about people from different generations or people who, would prefer something that they consider more convenient, and some people, would prefer the more traditional route of not having to, memorize 12-word seed phrase, or or that if they want to reset their password, they can do that. And some people are much more comfortable. That's just their comfort zone, is to have custody like in a bank situation. But I think the important thing to bear in mind here is optionality. What we really want to do is preserve the option for end users to be able to custody their own assets, and regardless of what kind of digital assets they are.
Got it. Jason, turning to you, in terms of the ways in which these can be secured, I know your firm provides primarily self-custody technology to your clients. What are the kinds of ways that broker-dealers, or banks for that matter, holding for broker-dealers, can make sure these are securely held? And does it need to be done that way, or are there other options? Let's get the SEC comfortable that this can be done in a way that is secure, and address some of Commissioner Crenshaw's concerns.
Yeah, I'm happy to be the person to do that. I'm Jason Algrante. I'm the Chief Legal Officer at Fireblocks. I really want to reframe this conversation, because I think there is an impulse to set self-custody solutions up against custodial solutions, bank custody solutions, and compare the two. And I think in actuality, they can both be either really good or really bad, right? And so, I think it's a way of thinking that was introduced all the way back in the 1930s, switching over to the investment advisor context now and looking at the qualified custody rule, right? Qualification in the qualified custody rule meant regulated entity status. If you were a bank, if you were a futures commission merchant, you were a broker-dealer, you were good. What I'm concerned about in the digital asset context is there's no reason to believe, based on pure regulated entity status today, that you are a good custodian, a repository for digital assets. That requires a further step. And what I think we should be focusing on is taking that further step. So what I mean by that is the introduction of qualitative standards, principle-based standards for SEC registrant firms that want to engage in digital asset custody, right? And this is something that I think ideally cuts across solutions, right? Such that you have a reasonable amount of trust as an investor that when you have your assets with the investment advisor, with the broker-dealer, whether they are self-custodying or holding it at a bank custodian, those service providers are both being assessed in the same way, and again, with a qualitative eye.
And how do they get assessed?
Yeah, so I listen, I think there's a great opportunity for the SEC and really the regulatory community to serve a sort of forcing function. And what I mean by that is that when the SEC acts, it can move the markets and move market participants more swiftly and more effectively than the industry can frequently do on its own. So by introducing qualitative standards, and again, this can be principle-based at a very high level. This can then cascade down into guidance, supervisory guidance, right, and standards, and you can have real qualitative things that you're looking at and you're assessing service providers for. And I think what that permits you to do, right, is that permits you to get to a world where you have self-custody, you have bank custody, both are viable options, and we have the trust and, again, the comfort that both are operating in a way that's going to guarantee the integrity of the assets.
Got it. So, as was mentioned a few times, the SEC has this special purpose broker-dealer framework. It's not very much used at the moment. And it essentially says a broker-dealer, if it doesn't hold traditional securities, doesn't hold digital assets that aren't securities, it can, and a number of other conditions, it can comply with, or at least not be subject to risk of being out of compliance with the customer protection rule if it has reasonable policies and procedures to do X, Y, and Z, to maintain evidence that it is safekeeping the customer's assets. I've heard a few people talk about principles approach. Does anybody disagree and think that there should be a way that there are specific standards, or is a principles-based approach the right way to go so that it is somewhat flexible, but it may be also harder to examine for and ensure are being met? Baylor, I see you looking this way.
Well, I'll take it in a bit of a different direction. Baylor Myers here with BitGo, one of the original crypto companies. I previously was at the Treasury Department. I don't think we need more regulation. What we need is clarity. So at BitGo, we firmly believe in independent, qualified custody. And we believe through our state-chartered trust company that we meet the definition of qualified. And if the SEC were to clarify that, it would make it enormously more beneficial for us to do business rather than having to wave around a letter from a law firm saying, oh, you're qualified and this is what we think. If we have that clarity, we'll be able, I think, to operate more efficiently and meet investor protection. So that's my view. Not quite the answer to your question, but there it is.
Helpful. Tammy, did you have views on the principles approach or the specific mechanisms approach, or how, waving around the letter about your legal status is great, and I'm sure people have letters from us about those things, but the kinds of things that you need to get there, and what should that status indicate, or what does the things you need to do to ever have that status?
Sure, thank you. Tammy Weinrib, Copper. So I think I'm a little bit in between Jason and probably Baylor to a degree. So I kind of compare it to the traditional financial world. And when I look at it, it's taking a bit of a narrow focus to true traditional fiat paper, coins, checks, things like that. When we look at our traditional financial institutions, I don't have to go to Citi to deposit my paper. I don't have to go to then Chase to deposit coins, and I don't have to go to another to deposit checks, right? Because there's a fundamental regulatory framework, there's requirements, there's rules, et cetera, and there's a soundness and safety to that where these institutions follow that framework, and so everyone's comfortable. So if it's principles-based, it's not product-based, it's not asset-based. So if the SEC is determined that securities are under their purview, and whatever, not getting into the conversation about what is a security on the digital asset side, but whatever is determined to be a security, no matter what that is, why is that not then also under the purview of the SEC? It's custody that way. And if the broker-dealer is determined to have soundness, safety, security, comprehensive compliance framework, cybersecurity, it's examined, it's audited, all the things that we know come under that umbrella. Why are we looking at it as a product-based assessment and not a principles and rules-based assessment?
Well, are principles-based and rules-based the same? This is a discussion I often have. People like principles until...
They're inextricably linked. They're not necessarily the same, but it's a rules and principles versus a product and asset.
Got it.
I think it would be the principal component is important because the rules will be out of date very quickly. I think that's the core of it. The one thing I want to just echo, though, is, so at Kraken, we've been doing safe custody of client assets now for 13 plus years. We think we're pretty good at it. I think we are pretty good at it. Anchorage is also actually really good at it.
We're so good.
Don't leave us out.
But there are lots and lots of regulated entities that just don't have the experience yet, and this is a very complicated thing to get right. It is not like anything that you've custodied before. And so it is important that we don't accidentally reduce choice of provider and choice of and the ability for companies that know how to do this well to do it by artificially putting specific regulatory groups that can provide that at the moment. And so maybe we'll get there, and this will get easier over time, and there are lots of great technical providers around this table and others who will help us get there, but it's not true in the next 6, 12, 18 months that this will be a really easy thing for someone who is a regulated bank or otherwise to do, unless they've spent a long time at it.
Brandon, you're also representing a regulated entity that provides custody. What is your view on how these rules should work and what should be required or what principles should be imposed?
Yeah, thanks, Brandon Russell, Etana Custody. We are a state chartered trust. I think under the custody rule, right now you can kind of see that there is a framework for regulated monies to find a pathway into this asset class. As it relates to the question about self-custody or regulated custody, I kind of view, we've kind of viewed the fact that the providers that are providing self-custody are almost like SaaS solutions, and the regulatory framework can be provided around them. It gives your subset of clients a level of choice in that scenario, and the regulatory responsibilities that you have, or reporting responsibilities that you have, are then beholden on the regulated entity facing off to the regulators. That's what we see the world as on that side. As it relates to other custodians in the place, we've also, over the years, deployed a best-of-breed scenario where we can plug into Fireblocks or BitGo as a regulated entity. More specifically, Coinbase has also been a sub-custodial layer for us. And this provides our clients downstream to do their own due diligence and kind of figure out what is best suited for their needs. There's another aspect to this, though, as well, and that is the settlement aspect of it. Once you start moving assets across multiple systems, so we've been a long-standing friend of Kraken, but clients do want to have access to one marketplace, a digital asset platform like yourselves, and then perhaps another one like Coinbase, hypothetically speaking. The ability to move those assets across different wallets do pose challenges, and so having systems in place and oversight in place that make sure that you don't have the tech risk or the reg risk, and you doing the adequate reporting on it is really important to ascertain.
I'm going to ask a technical question.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's an hour plus in this one, and I'll put a pause on this right now as the conversation keeps going. So what's going on? What's happening right now? Well, number 3 out of 5 roundtables. The first one with Paul Atkins, the newly selected SEC chair, appointed, right? Now, the reception, I think, has been great, from the crypto industry. And we didn't have this with Gary Gensler, period. A lot of people might say it's boring. I don't like it. Pump XRP. I'm not interested, which is fine. But I do see it as a really nice resource. There's some journalists right there. I follow Eleanor. She's there listening. And this is going to go for a while. This is obviously not meant to pump anything. In fact, earlier today, we saw, crypto do pretty nice. I have some pictures I want to show you. Bottom line right now is we're doing much better than we were. I just showed you. Minutes ago, I showed you, right? 100% Jasmine, 100% Sui, 100% what is it? Caspa, right? And other ones, 100%. So it's the weekend. Great time I think for me and for a lot of people to decompress and still, as you see it fit, buy the dip. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen with Trump, with China, with tariffs, with wars, but are we going to let those scare us and leave crypto? Absolutely not. Why? Well, because these conversations are occurring, and the Securities Exchange Commission, the CFTC as well, commodities, right? They're all working nonstop, and I think it's good. They're taking their time to listen to the experts, and as you heard, from all the commissioners and even the chair, they're all actually listening to them, and they all want them to help the SEC on how to protect customers, on how to do this. And we don't want to see another FTX. We don't want to see another, Terra Luna. We don't want to see a BlockFi, Celsius, right? And custodian, self-custody. I ask a question here in the live chat, right? What do you prefer? And most people are selecting self-custody. So I own the two. I have self-custody with with your own wallet. You could do hard wallet, cold wallet, right? You could do an exchange and keep it there. There are some pretty good exchanges. So far, they've been great when it comes to protection, right? And sometimes exchanges fail, and the good exchanges refund those monies to the customers, right? The good ones. And they were talking about bankruptcies. They were talking about, when something fails, what are those procedures they're gonna follow to, make sure that the customers have their money back. So it takes a while. Price of everything right now is looking pretty okay. There's Kraken, there's a bunch of different companies, Fidelity and more, and it's gonna go for a while. They're gonna keep talking and talking and talking. So, it doesn't seem that Paul Atkins is going to be speaking again. That's what it looks like. But they're just going to be, going through this. I think it's good for now for us to pause it and stop it and just kind of like decompress and come back later to make a video like summarizing or so. But I'm bullish, man. I want to say thank you to everybody who came. I want to say thank you to all of you guys who are listening and supporting. I appreciate that a lot, for sure. And yeah, you're more than welcome. I'm going to go ahead and give you the link right now. It's also on X. There it is. So you click the link right there. You will be able to open this panel and you will be able to listen at your convenience. Drop a like. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you do that so you never miss an update. Links down below where you guys can also support and join on BTCC. Sign up to all the exchanges. There's a lot of bonuses right now, especially if you're looking to buy the dips, because we all love the pumps, but the way we make money in crypto is not by buying the FOMO, right? It's by buying the fear. So check it out, guys. And I got a few things I want to show you here next. It's a good one. And I appreciate all my awesome members and my subscribers and also my new members and moderators who are here. Guys, we are going to be watching Eric Trump, the co-founder of World Liberty Financial 2, and Justin Sun. I'll be there in a few days from now in the OKX main stage at the Dubai Token 2049 conference. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you in the know once we get there. And this happened a week ago, guys. BTC was 83,000. Now we are at 95,000. That was just recently, past 95. Just to keep you in the know, guys. You zoom out. Better days are ahead. So relax. And every dip, make sure you don't miss it.
Some of the commissioners' discussions were
Perfect. Let's go, everybody. Thank you, all my members. Thank you, all my moderators. Kudos, Bulldog. Very happy to see you, buddy. He's one of my moderators. He's one of my members here, also on Discord. So let me go ahead and get this done right now. There you go. Let's go ahead and close this poll. Yeah, because they're going to go ahead and continue speaking and speaking and speaking. I know, right? I like it, but it's good. I think 1 hour already is more than enough. 640 votes right now. Self-custody winning. And that comes to show, right? Your keys, your crypto. I'll see you next time, guys. I appreciate all the donors. And I'll keep you updating in the next one. There's more to come, 2 more. We'll see if the topics are engaging. And if the chair is actually speaking a little bit more, then that'll be more enticing for us. All right? Catch you next time, guys. You take care. Peace.